This episode of the Dungeoncast has been brought to you by Hero Forge. Hero Forge has fully customizable tabletop miniatures with dozens of fantasy races and thousands of parts to choose from. Their easy-to-use design tool lets you build the perfect miniature online using a fully 3D in-depth character creator right in your web browser. There are plastic and metal options for your custom mini. And Hero Forge even offers downloadable model files for users to 3D print their unique designs at home. Plus, they're constantly expanding the catalog of customization options. They're adding new parts every week and major features like races and custom posing on a regular basis. All you have to do is go to heroforge.com and you can start designing your custom mini today. It's super easy. And don't forget to check back and visit them every now and again because they're always adding new content. One more time, that's heroforge.com. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dungeoncast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Will.
This is the podcast where we talk about everything Dungeons and Dragons, from tall tabaxi to talking tables. And today we're talking about the Tiefling again.
It's true. The Dungeoncast. Hey Brian.
Hey Will, it's been a long time since we talked about the Tiefling.
Yes, I believe the last time we had to sit down and talk about Tieflings, it was episode 23.
Last time we sat down and talked about the Tieflings on episode 23, we had a cup of tea.
Did we
didn't.
actually? Oh,
No.
did we actually? I would have believed you.
I was just going to add, it was an improv exercise where we add another word with
Good job.
the T. Yeah,
Good
the
job.
alliteration thing.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So it's been some time.
Tell me of Tieflings.
And in that time, some more official content has been released by Wizards of the Coast.
That's great.
So I felt like a revisit was in order.
And
now,
the foam of toes.
yes, that's one of actually that and Skag actually have Tiefling stuff as well.
Oh, they do.
Mhm.
I was actually reading Skag last night, and it's got a ton of like little extra little
It does.
things for
All
all
sprinkled
the races
throughout.
and the classes.
It's true. It's true. So, disclaimer: we won't be doing a revisit episode for every single official D&D race, but I do want to do revisits for episodes or topics that I feel merit a second look. Mostly for either like mechanics or lore reasons. In this case, it's more of a mechanics reason than anything.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm thinking we should revisit like elves. There's a lot of like lore that we never covered in the original elves episode, so we'll do an elves revisit.
Yeah, you were telling me, and all our elf lore is like pieced throughout many different episodes.
It's true.
sprinkled
Yeah,
in here
it's
and
scattered
there.
about. Let's kind of condense it and concentrate into a single location.
Like
yeah.
we talk about another topic that is elf adjacent or elf related,
And there's a lot of those topics. So.
yes, so that's why we're gonna actually focus on the race itself.
Right.
But that's what we're doing today. Let's talk about it.
Indeed. So though I'm sure most people watching this are well aware of what a tiefling is, maybe for some people it's their first episode.
Let's bottom up.
I don't know why they would choose Tieflings Part 2 as their first episode.
If you want to watch,
welcome.
if you want to watch the Dungeoncast, I actually highly recommend you start at a topic you like in the more recent catalog, and then go back.
Sure, I can agree with that. So let's give a real quick recap on what a tiefling is.
Mm-hmm.
So tieflings are a race of humanoids in Dungeons & Dragons tied specifically to extraplanar beings called fiends. Now this can either be demons or devils, or in even some cases things like Yugoliths, which each of those has their own episode.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on your lore or edition, tieflings are either mortals with some remnant of fiendish blood in their genealogy, or they have some sort of curse inflicted upon them, giving them a fiendish nature.
Right.
And again, that just depends on edition and your setting.
Yeah, it's if you want the like the cursed one, or if it's like actual genetics.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. Now, tieflings are almost never the direct offspring of a fiend and a mortal coupling. Such couplings usually result in a cambion or a half demon or some other spawn of some sort.
Yeah, not a humanoid. Well, maybe a
they'll
humanoid,
probably
but like
be humanoid, but yeah,
more-
they'll
more-
be something else
more
entirely.
stat blocky than
than
the character sheety.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that descriptor. There is a great divide in lore of tieflings caused by the infamous 4th edition, which I love. Come fight me in the comments. I'll defend 4th edition any day.
Shout out to 4E.
Indeed. Essentially, before 4E, tieflings were an exceptionally rare thing and always associated to the genetic tie to fiends. That was the concrete lore. Being a tiefling was more like having a mutation than being a specific species.
Right. Okay.
And there was no universal look to tieflings or their nature. It all depended on like what kind of fiendish blood was going on in their genealogy.
Yeah, you had like red tones and blue tone skin, and
Yeah, like some, it
anything
could
in
just be like
between.
glowing eyes and spines. It could be like a tail and wings. It could be too many fingers and like an aura of uncomfortability. Like it could be all these different things.
devilish horns are not like different kinds of horns. You could have like horns that go back.
Yeah,
ones that go
It
forward,
could be all
little
kinds of
stubby
different
ones,
horns
real
in
big
all
ones.
directions, all types. Yes,
What kind of
that's
horns
true.
you like? Put them on your character.
Right. So 4E introduced the concept of tieflings being a race of beings brought into existence due to a curse enforced by Asmodeus. Lord of the Nine Hells. He transformed a group of humans into infernal-looking humanoids with red skin, tails, goat horns, and the ability to cast infernal magic. In this lore, all tieflings bred true and begot only tieflings, and all tieflings had a universal and devilish look to them. Okay. So that was the 4E version of tieflings. 5E started with the 4E version in the player's handbook, but has since expanded to the older kinds. But before we get into that, let's actually do a quick reread of the standard 5e tiefling so we can see what changes have been implemented in some of these variant versions of the tiefling.
Yes, please.
So we talked about this in the tiefling episode, but tieflings get a +1 to intelligence and a +2 to charisma, base walking speed of 30 feet. They get dark vision, thanks to their infernal heritage, and just like everyone else, they get dark vision. Hellish resistance. All tieflings resist fire damage. And the big one is Infernal Legacy. So the thaumaturgy cantrip. When you reach 3rd level, you can cast Hellish Rebuke spell as a 2nd level spell once with this trait. Gain the ability to do so with a long rest. And when you reach 5th level, you can cast Darkness spell with this trait and regain the ability to do so after you finish a long rest. Charisma is the spellcasting ability for these spells. So that's your standard tiefling.
Okay, that's dope. Are those the kind of spells where you burn a spell slot, or is it just like an inherent?
No, they're separate from your
that's
slots.
Like a once per day.
Yeah, it's tied to your race.
Like Genasi, they get like a once per day.
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
And Darkness and Hellish Rebuke are both really good spells. And I love Thaumaturgy. It's one of my favorite cantrips.
It is very good.
You can get very creative with it. So the first expansion on like tiefling mechanics was in the Sword Coast Adventures Guide, SCAG for short. And since not all tieflings in Forgotten Realms are of the blood of Asmodeus, some have traits that differ from those in the player's handbook. The Dungeon Master may permit the following variants for your tiefling character, although the features labeled Devil's Tongue, Hellfire, and Winged are mutually exclusive. You can't have... you can mess with these variants, but you can't have Devil's Tongue and Hellfire.
I see.
You can't be winged and have Devil's Tongue.
If you have these things, you break the mechanics.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the first variant isn't even really a mechanical feature. It's just the appearance. So your tiefling might not look like other tieflings. Like if we're going with the genetic lore, like your tiefling might not have anything to do with devilkind at all. You might be part demon or part Yugolith or part whatever. So rather than having physical characteristics described in the player's handbook, choose 1d4 plus 1 of the following features: small horns, fangs, sharp teeth, a forked tongue, cat-like eyes, 6 fingers on each hand, goat-like legs, cloven hooves, a forked tail, leathery or scaly skin, red or dark blue skin, you cast no shadow or have no reflection, or you exude a smell of brimstone.
Some of those are really cool, and some of those are not.
Yeah, actually, I like all of them when you put them together. And so 1d4, let's say you actually go through with the rolling of the die. So you roll like a 2. So it's like pick 3 out of this crazy list. And you can get pretty creative. Let's see here. You can be like, I have no shadow or reflection. I have dark blue skin, and I have fangs.
My 6th finger comes out of my palm.
There we go. Yeah, exactly.
It's just the nub. It can't actually do anything. I'm a claw. I have a claw now.
So that's the first thing that you can choose to have or not. The next is a feature called Feral. This basically is a trait that replaces your ability score that you would get, which is the +1 to intelligence and +2 to charisma. Okay. If you go feral and be like a feral tiefling, your intelligence score still increases by 1, but instead of your charisma score going up by 2, you get a +2 to dexterity.
Okay, nice.
So this is like
instead of Warlock. The charisma going up. Sorry, was it +1 to charisma? I thought you said.
So the original tiefling is +1 in intelligence, +2 charisma.
+2 charisma. Okay.
So this is a +1 intelligence, +2 dexterity.
That's cool.
So I think this lends itself to more of a roguish tiefling. Maybe
you're leaning into like the animalistic nature.
Exactly.
Like
you didn't get magic from your genealogy. You
got buff.
You got buff.
You got like a wolf style.
Stealth or animalistic style. Yeah.
You can climb trees.
So that's that. The next one is one of the bigger ones. This is called Devil's Tongue. So this takes the place of your Infernal Legacy trait, and it's kind of a mirror to it, just with alternate spells. So with Devil's Tongue, the Vicious Mockery cantrip automatically in level 1. When you reach 3rd level, you can cast the Charm Person spell as a 2nd level spell once with this trait. And at 5th level, you can cast Enthrall spell. You must finish a long rest to cast these spells once again. So again, this really leans into like either the psionic or the enchantment end of being like a fiend. So like maybe you are a descendant of a succubus who is capable of manipulating people, on a mental scale. So you learn Vicious Mockery, Charm Person, and Enthrall.
Well, a lot of those those characters down in the Nine Hells are like deal makers, right?
Exactly.
The devil's tongue is more like I can talk my way in and out of any situation.
You can flavor it like that too. Exactly. But basically, this is you're less fiery and more
emotional.
I guess emotional. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess dominating. Yeah, you're more dominating and less like fiery.
Intimidating.
Yeah, sure.
You're leaning into the charisma stuff, the force of will.
So that's a pretty cool one. Although I'm always a big fan of the fire bit. The next feature is called Hellfire. So this doesn't replace the entire Infernal Legacy trait. It just swaps out what looks to be one spell.
Okay.
So once you reach 3rd level, you can cast the Burning Hand spell once per day as a 2nd level spell. This trait replaces the Hellish Rebuke spell of the Infernal Legacy trait.
Nice.
So it's pretty good. Honestly, I like Hellish Rebuke better than Burning Hands. Burning Hands is more flashy, but Hellish Rebuke is just real handy. That nice reactionary. Oh, you hit me. Here's 3d10 damage.
Exactly. You're not burning as much resource on that spell rather than like doing a Burning Hands. I mean, if you're clever with your Burning Hands, you can do a lot of damage to a lot of people.
It's true.
But, you know, what can you hit like 3 people max at once with the Burning Hands?
I mean, max you could probably, I think it's a 15-foot cone. So I think you can hit
4
like
people?
5 or 6 technically. But they'd all have to be grouped together. How often does that really happen? Not a lot, I would say.
Well, 3 if you got like a flying V going on and they're trying to like score,
if they're coming at you in formation. You're like, oh, this is perfect.
Yes.
I've been waiting for this moment. I also like it. You got to remember the spell is stuck at a 2nd level spell. You can't heighten it at any point in time. So theoretically, once you're in the higher levels, it's not going to be nearly as useful.
But the Hellish Rebuke is still a nice little.
Yeah, the Hellish Rebuke is great because again, it's just a reaction. If you get hit, it's a free D10, 3d10. So it's like, to me, the fact that doesn't scale isn't such a big deal.
Yeah,
But that's just my personal opinion. So finally, in Skag, the last feature that they allow is called Winged. You have bat-like wings sprouting from your shoulder blades. You now have a flying speed of 30 feet. This trait replaces your Infernal Legacy trait.
Cool.
So instead of spells, you can fly.
I'll take it.
Which is in itself a very high-level spell.
Yes.
If you think about it that way.
And you can only do it for 10 minutes if you cast a spell.
Right. This is just flying. Can fly at level 1. So it's very powerful. Very much like the Aarakocra. So any questions about any of these traits or anything before we move on to all the stuff that was added in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes?
I like all the spell flavor, but I like the option to take Dex means that you don't have to like lean into magic, you know, like charisma-based magic and stuff.
Yeah, because sometimes if you want to be a tiefling, you want to be a rogue, and like you have the infernal magic, but like it's not really that useful. It's very situational. Obviously, when I build my tieflings, I like to build around the infernal stuff, like with D'Artagnan. Like I integrate it into his like dark paladinness.
Right.
But
that's easy to do.
It's easy to do.
Yeah, you know, this gives you the option to lean away from that sort of thing and take on a more, like you're saying, a
rogue.
It
makes your features feel like less of a just space that's being taken up. It's like, but I could have had other things.
You get that good AC. It's never bad.
Yeah, no, Dex is hard to beat. That's for sure. Well, before we move on, let's take a short rest.
Okay. Hey everybody, welcome to the part of the episode we're not talking about that last thing we're talking about. We're talking about the new thing. The new thing is love. It's the newest old thing we got. And I'm full of it for you.
Love is always new.
Thank you for experiencing the show and for supporting it. If you're listening, we love you.
We do.
It's really awesome. Tasty. Did that taste good, Will? Was that good water?
It was very refreshing. I'm so sorry.
It sounded refreshing.
I apologize for my audio crimes.
I'm going to try to Foley it with my mouth.
Okay. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
It's so uncomfortable.
Welcome to the short rest, everybody. We love you. Will, tell them you love them.
I did. I already said we love you.
Tell them again.
I love you. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching the show.
Thank you,
and listening.
New Patreon people. I'm going to read your names now. Zach Smith.
Thank you, Zach.
Jeremy Miller.
Thank you, Jeremy.
I might have said those two in the last time we shouted people out.
Well, then thank you again, guys.
Thanks again, though. Jacob Silence.
Thank you, Jacob.
Tegan Churchill.
Thank you, Tegan.
Brian J. Lynch.
Thank you, Brian.
What a good name, Brian. Amanda Allen.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks, guys. I hope you're enjoying your new bonus content. We're going to have some got some cool stuff going on Patreon. You can send a message in If you inbox us on Patreon at any tier level, you can do this. We'll read whatever you write in the short rest as long as it's not like super crazy. It can be super crazy, I guess. It just can't be like offensive.
Right.
Don't be offensive.
We'll be screening them.
We'll screen them. You can be offensive if you want, I guess. Thanks for supporting the show, but we're not going to read that. So, yeah, you can do that. We're getting show notes back on for more recent episodes.
Oh, yeah. Like we decided to go digital.
Yeah.
Like smart people.
Like,
that only took 3 years.
Yeah, like real people in the real modern world. Welcome to 2020, everybody. Happy New Year. We're digital now. At the $1, I think we'll just put them at the $1 level. You got to do them anyway.
I think everyone gets those.
If you want to see the detailed notes Will takes down for each show with his own special spicy flavor on his research, you can go check it out.
Indeed.
They'll be there. They'll be like Google Doc links. I do that for, I got to upload the Flashbang and the Surgeon Dungeon Master notes from season 1 to the people that aren't in the $5 tier.
Sure.
They're
so you do all your dungeon notes via Google Docs.
I do.
Interesting. Okay.
I split Flashbang and the Surgeon up by in 3 portions typically, by act 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And that's how the notes look. So
interesting. Yeah.
Any dialogue from Batman the Animated Series that I use verbatim is in there, copy pasted, and then the rest is my stuff.
Right.
I'm reskinning dragons and making Batman villains into stat blocky forms. You can see what I did in there.
It's pretty dope. I've always done my DM notes handwritten. I just never changed, but now I'm realizing there's a whole new world of possibility.
Yeah, and you can have multiple tabs open. That's really cool. So when I DM, I'll have my screen up and I'll switch over to rules and Excel. I have an NPC tracker and stuff like that. There's lots of stuff that I could throw up there that I'm probably going to put up there. We got new FBATs. I'm going to be done with that today, so I'll do that. We do Battle Royale. If you're part of the Patreon, our wonderful mod people are running that. I have to do my character sheet. I told them I was going to do it last night, and it's today now. So I got to do it today.
Right.
But yeah, we had special guest Jake over last night, and that's why I didn't do it, because we were talking about some hot Super Quest Saga shit.
Yeah, spoilers though. We're not going to say anything.
We're not going to say anything, but it's wild times. If you're caught up, you already know.
You already know how wild.
You don't know exactly. You do not know how wild yet.
That's true.
Actually, yeah, they don't know how wild yet, but you will in a couple days.
Yeah. I'll be honest. Not even you know how wild it's about to get.
I hope not. I hope I don't. I only know some things.
Right.
Anyway, those are all the things we're doing. Come check it out. If you want the Grumsh mug, come get it. It's awesome.
Indeed.
I got one on the desk.
I got a few more of those to send out.
Yeah, we should be done with that. If you're waiting for a mug, we're going to get it to you in this last round.
Yeah, by the time you're hearing this, all mugs have been sent and should be if
arriving
not there,
or
arriving soon. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. And we still have plans for another merch tier, but it's we're really getting held up by a couple of logistical things.
Life.
We're trying to, and partly life. The holidays are over. We have no excuses. They took that Sea-Doo from my side yard.
Oh, yeah. I forgot you told me about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so good. Anyway, we're going to get back to the show.
We're talking about Sea-Doos now. It's time. Let's go. Hey, Brian.
You smell that, Will?
I do.
It smells like we've returned.
Because we have.
It smells like podcasting.
It does.
It smells like metal and hot lights.
It does, and energy drinks.
It smells like open cans of Monster Energy.
It's so true. Okay, so now that we're back, we're going to talk about all the new Tiefling stuff that got added in Mordenkainen and Stone of Foes. And there's a lot more than was added in Skag, and it leans hard into the devilish side of things.
It's a cool book, man. You definitely pick up your Tome of Foes.
It's one of my favorites for sure. So at the DM's option, you can create a Tiefling character who has a special link to one of the Lords of the Nine Hells.
Oh, no.
This link is represented by a subrace. If your Tiefling has a subrace, choose one of the following options. Whichever one corresponds to the infernal being connected to your Tiefling's family. So the traits of the chosen subrace replace the Tiefling's ability score increase and Infernal Legacy traits given in the player's handbook.
Cool.
So it starts with Asmodeus, but the Tieflings connected to Nessus and Asmodeus command the power of fire and darkness, and they're guided by a keener than normal intellect, as befits those linked to Asmodeus himself. And such Tieflings use the regular ability score and Infernal Legacy traits from the player's handbook.
Okay.
So if you're going with Asmo, you're just a regular Tiefling.
That's
which
fine.
Makes sense because in 4th edition, he was the one who created the Tiefling race. So.
Right. And he's the coolest one.
And he's the best one.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the lesser ones. So they're also kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So next on the list is a Archduke named Beelzebub. He is the Archduke of Maladomini. We talked about that in the 9 Hells episode, which is a very long episode and a good one to go revisit sometimes because I just revisited it the other day. I was like, wow, I don't remember any of this.
It's meaty in there.
It's a meaty episode. And we didn't even do the last layer. We didn't even do Nessus. We just did the first 8.
Because we're saving that for another
Well, no, we saved
episode?
it for the Asmodeus episode.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did do that.
But back to Beelzebub. So the crumbling realm of Maladomini is ruled by Beelzebub, who excels at corrupting those whose minor sins can be transformed into acts of damnation. Ooh. Tieflings linked to this archdevil can corrupt others both physically and psychically. So, as a Beelzebub sub-raced tiefling, they don't have like a proper name for these, and it's really annoying. So I'm gonna like say a bunch of like words in a row that don't sound like anything.
Just like smash the demon lord name and then like tack on fling to the end of it.
A Beelzeling, Beelzefling. If you're a Beelzefling, your ability score increase is a +2 to charisma, which is normal, and a +1 to intelligence, which is also normal. Next, you also get Legacy of Maladomini. So this replaces your Infernal Legacy. Mm-hmm. So you know the Thaumaturgy cantrip, which is also normal. We're getting real close to not being any different at all. When you reach 3rd level, though, you can cast the Ray of Sickness spell. So there we go. As a 2nd level spell, once with this trait, and regain the ability to do so with a long rest. And when you reach 5th level, you can cast Crown of Madness. That's
I like that spell.
Mm-hmm. And again, that's once a long rest. Use charisma as your spellcasting ability for these spells. So if you go with the Beelzebub route, everything's pretty much the same. You just replace Hellish Rebuke with Ray of Sickness, and you replace Darkness with Crown of Madness. So again, you are a corrupting force, if you will.
This is roleplay oriented.
Very much so, yeah.
Yes. Make sure you are a dungeon master that is researching those particular entities.
I would say so, because they do make a point of like, whatever Archduke you're connected to, you'll look different than like your standard tiefling, but they only gave a few pictures, like for examples, and they don't actually give you any descriptions. Oh, which is a little lame. I'm gonna drink some water. So the next tiefling subrace is tied to the Archduke Dispater, who is lord of, I believe, the 2nd layer of the abyss, or not the abyss, 2nd layer of hell, Dis. The great city of Dis occupies most of the hell's 2nd layer. There it is. It is a place where secrets are uncovered and shared with the highest bidder, making tieflings tied to Dispater excellent spies and infiltrators. So, as a Dispatefling, I'm not liking this fusion of the words. I don't think it just rolls off the tongue very well.
You're going to get used to it.
Okay. You get your ability scores increases are +2 to charisma, which is normal, and a +1 to dex, which is not normal. So again, a little more roguish.
Got it.
You then get the Legacy of Dis feature. The Thaumaturgy cantrip, which is normal. When you reach 3rd level, you can cast the Disguise self spell once with this trait and regain the ability to do so after a long rest. And when you reach 5th level, you can cast Detect Thoughts.
Cool.
Once with this trait per long rest, yada, yada, yada. So that's pretty cool. So that's good spy work stuff, right? Disguise yourself and read minds. Like,
I mean, well, you read minds light, because
I don't know how the spell works. Do you actually know?
Thoughts is like you can get like surface feelings off of somebody. Like I can tell if you're fucking actually really pissed or something.
Right, or maybe telling the truth or any of that jazz.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty solid. I like that.
There's a lot of fun role play you can do with Dis. Like, welcome to layer Dis, and you're like, wait, what's this layer? And like do that sort of. Never mind. Let's go on.
Right. The next Tiefling subrace is tied to the Archduke Fierna. So a Fiernafling.
You use the whole word for that one.
A master manipulator, Fiona grants tieflings tied to her forceful personalities. Ability and score increase is +2 to charisma, which is normal, and a +1 to wisdom.
Okay, it's just light tweaks.
It's just
keeping
little,
the meat and potatoes of the class intact, which
it's basically
makes sense.
like we're going to tweak your ability score just a hair, and then we're going to give you different spells for your legacy.
Yeah. Do you want some flavor? Do you want us to write it down so you don't feel bad about doing it?
Right. So it feels more official. Yeah, right. Exactly. So you get the Legacy of Phlegethos feature. You know the Friends cantrip. When you reach 3rd level, you can cast the Charm Person spell as a 2nd level spell once with this trait. When you reach 5th level, you can cast the Suggestion spell once with this trait. Charisma is your spellcasting ability score. So again, this is very like manipulative.
Yeah. Friends is really hard to use. You got to basically hit like a town guard on your way out.
Right.
Like, hey buddy, you want to open that portcullis for me? And then he does it, and then you're gone, and he can't be pissed at you because you're not there. Well, he will be he's supposed to be, but you're not around for him to inflict the wrath. But he will tell the other guards you're an asshole.
It's true.
They will come after you.
And if I remember from our 9 Hells episode, Fiona is a master manipulator. She's basically like a sex devil, and like she has like her palaces of pleasure and whatnot. So I guess she's all about seduction and controlling other people.
Okay.
So there,
I kind of remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a weird one.
That was the sex one.
That was the sex one.
Okay.
Moving on. To her lover, in fact, Glazia, who is also the daughter of Asmodeus.
Okay.
So those tied to Glazia is Hell's criminal mastermind, and she grants her tieflings magic that is useful for committing heists.
Nice. That's fucking cool.
It is.
This is the Ocean 11 one.
Yeah, exactly. Or the Ocean's 8, really.
Oh, yeah. Ladies.
So ability score increase for Glacia's tieflings are charisma score increases by 2, dex increases by 1. And then you get the Legacy of Malbolge, which is, the minor illusion cantrip. When you reach 3rd level, you can cast the Disguise Self spell once with this trait. And when you reach 5th level, you can cast the Invisibility spell once with this trait. So yeah, definitely leads itself to heist and crime.
It's like called Malbolge?
Malbolge, yeah. Malbolge.
Who's Bolge?
Hey man, I'm pretty sure that's the name of the actual lair in Dante's Inferno.
Oh, yeah. You might be right.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure all of these are named after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good one if you want to go rogue. Like you get Disguise Self and Invisibility. That's pretty dope. And Minor Illusion.
A Glaceling.
Like you could be Arcane Trickster, Glazia Tiefling. That would be pretty solid. That'd be a pretty interesting build, I think.
Glazling.
A Glassifling.
Glazia
Fling. No, moving on.
Okay.
The next is Levistus. So Frozen Stygia is ruled by Levistus, an archdevil known for offering bargains to those who face an inescapable doom.
This is Cold Hell, right?
Cold Hell.
I remember this one.
One of the 2 Cold Hells. The first Cold Hell.
They had to fuck me up somehow.
Yeah, seriously. So the ability score increase you get if you're tied to Levistus is your charisma score increases by 2, Constitution score increases by 1, and then you get the Legacy of Stygia or Stygia. I'm not sure how you actually pronounce it. But with this legacy, the Ray of Frost cantrip. Once you reach 3rd level, you can cast Armor of Agathis spell as a 2nd level spell.
I fucking love that spell.
It's a great spell. And when you reach 5th level, you can cast Darkness spell, which is what you would normally get with the normal tiefling. So cold and darkness is what I'm getting from this. And it makes sense because Levistus is very much tied to both those things.
And you're constituted to fight the cold and darkness.
Right, exactly. You can endure it like no other.
You can cast darkness around your enemies and then go to the backside and shoot them.
With cold.
You can't see through your own darkness spell.
I don't think you can. No, I don't think that's a thing.
I don't know.
Moving on. So the next Archduke that you could be tied to is Mammon. So the great miser Mammon loves coin above all else. Tieflings tied to him excel in gathering and safeguarding wealth. So ability score increase if you're tied to Mammon is a +2 to charisma and a +1 intelligence, which is completely normal. That is what the standard Tiefling gets. But then you get the Legacy of Mineros. So the Mage Hand cantrip.
Cool.
When you reach 3rd level, you can cast Tenzer's Floating Disc spell. I like that because you can carry loot. I like that. That's pretty cool.
Okay, so your Static Shock, you can ride
your
around
Static
on that?
Shock, yeah.
Okay.
And when you reach 5th level, you can cast the Arcane Lock spell once with this trait. That's interesting.
What's Arcane Lock?
So I think it's just you cast basically a lock spell on something that either needs a dispel magic or the caster to undo it.
Okay, sure.
That's my guess. I don't actually know the spell verbatim. There's too many spells, Brian. I can't know them all, and I'm always dungeon mastering, so I'm never actually playing a spellcaster.
We should change that. We should know the spells.
Okay. Should we look it up?
Yeah, let's take a break and we'll look it up. So Arcane Lock, we looked it up. It's 1 action to cast. You got to touch, and it's a wizard spell. Let's see. You touch a closed door, window, gate, chest, or other entryway, and it becomes locked for the duration, which the duration is until dispelled. Nice. Okay. So you and the creatures you designate when you cast a spell can open the object normally. You can also set a password that, when spoken within 5 feet of the object, suppresses the spell for 1 minute. Otherwise, it is impassable until it is broken or the spell is dispelled or suppressed. Casting Knock on the object suppresses Arcane Lock for 10 minutes. While affected by this spell, the object is more difficult to break or force open. The DC to break or pick any locks on it increases by 10. Nice.
Oh, wow. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
So it was mostly what I said, but that was a lot more detail. I like that.
What do you normally hit in your locks at, generally speaking? It's obviously like...
As a player, I'm always trying to unlock. I'm never trying to lock something up. So I'm not sure what you're trying to hit with that.
No, as a dungeon master, where are you setting your DCs for opening locks? Like around...
Oh, it depends. So like, I don't know.
Generally at least a 10, right?
Yeah, I would say like a 12 standard for getting your sleight of hand check. So a plus 10 of that 22, yeah, you're not going to hit it.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless you're
a Thieves' Tool rogue and you have expertise.
Yeah, or if you crit and you're playing with the rules where crits count on skills like we do, but that's not the official ruling. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, I like the more like crits go a long way on skills.
Yeah,
because some stuff's impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I
agree with that 100%. All right, so moving on, the next Archduke that you could be tied to is Mephistopheles. He's from the other Cold Hell.
Okay.
In the frozen realm of Cania, Mephistopheles offers arcane power to those who entreat with him. Tieflings linked to him master some arcane magic. So, if you're tied to Mephistopheles as a Tiefling, you get a +2 to Charisma, and a +1 Intelligence, which, as I said before, is normal. Like, so many of these guys don't actually change your ability scores. But then you get Legacy of Cania. So, do
you think there should be one for, like, each? We didn't hit Intelligence yet, did we?
What do you mean we didn't hit Intelligence?
Like, one of them had a +1 Wisdom, and one of them had a +1 to Dex, and
one had 1 to Constitution. No, we've already had, like, 3... including this one, that were just the bog standard ability score.
So if we don't hit Strength and Intelligence, I'm going to be disappointed.
I'm sure we'll hit them all by the end.
Okay.
So yeah, that was the ability score increase. You get Legacy of Cania. You know the Mage Hand cantrip. When you reach 3rd level, you can cast the Burning Hand spell as a 2nd level spell. And when you reach 5th level, you can cast the Flame Blade spell. Ooh, that's interesting.
Pretty good.
Once with this trait, regain the ability to do so after a long rest. Charisma is a spellcasting ability for these spells. So that's pretty cool. And Mephistopheles, despite being from Cold Hell 2, is very much tied to Hellfire. That's kind of his thing. He like spends all his time in his like arcane towers researching how to create like this magical Hellfire that no one else can make.
That's fucking cool.
So, yeah.
I remember that being cool in the last time.
Yeah,
too.
It was pretty dope.
And so nobody just don't at me or whatever people say. Cold Hell 2.
Cold Hell 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
Oh my gosh. All right. So we're at the final of the Archdukes. Her name is Zariel. Tieflings with a blood tie to Zariel are stronger than the typical Tiefling and receive magical abilities that aid them in battle.
Nice.
Aid them in battle, yes. So if you're tied to Zariel, you get a +2 to Charisma and a +1 to Strength.
All
there
right.
it is, right there.
I feel good.
That's dope for a Paladin build right here. And you also get Legacy of Avernus. You know the Thaumaturgy cantrip, which is normal. When you reach 3rd level, you can cast the Searing Smite spell as a 2nd level spell once with this trait, and you regain the ability to do so after a long rest. And when you reach 5th level, you can cast Branding Smite as a spell once with this trait. So I just said that this is great with Paladins, but also as a Paladin, you get those spells anyway. So
okay.
It's a little crossover, but that +1 Strength is pretty nice.
The latest 9 Hell centric book has Zariel's art on the front, right?
Yeah. It's all about Avernus. And I'm pretty sure, I haven't really looked into it. My understanding is the story really does center around her.
Yeah, vacation for 2 to 8 to Avernus for free. You get to go there.
Yes, absolutely. When we did the 9 Hells episode, it was before that book had come out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was under the impression that Belle was still the Archduke of Avernus.
Okay.
But they changed it in 5e. I didn't realize that because I didn't have a book on it. And now she was, but we don't talk about her in the 9 Hells episode. Maybe she'll get her own episode.
I thought we did talk about her in the 9 Hells episode because I know a lot about her randomly. She fell from heaven. That sort of thing.
I think we talked about her in the Avernus episode, but we did not talk about her in 9 Hells.
We've definitely
not
talked
Avernus,
about
Asmodeus.
Asmo.
Yeah.
That actually makes sense.
But she'll probably get her own episode, or at the very least, the Archdukes will like share episodes together if I can't like dig up enough lore to like fill up a whole episode.
Totally.
But any questions about any of these sub races or variants before we get into the next topic?
We didn't hit intelligence, I don't think.
There was like 4 of them that had intelligence.
A +1?
Yeah, they just matched the player's handbook, which has charisma.
Oh, that's why, because we waived it. Okay,
yeah,
that's
I kept saying same.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
All right, so the last thing I want to talk about that was added to Tieflings in general are the racial feats out of Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much, I think not just pretty much, but every single race now has like specific racial feats. But Xanathar's only hits, I think, all the player's handbook ones. But there was like a supplemental.
A UA?
No, it wasn't a UA, but it was like a supplemental resource PDF that you could download for free. I think for free. Don't quote me on that. But it has all the other races. They all have their own racial feats.
Okay.
But Tieflings get 2. So
Nice.
the first racial specific feat that you get as a Tiefling is called Flames of Phlegethos. Prerequisite Tiefling. You learn to call on Hellfire to serve your commands. You gain the following benefits. You increase your intelligence or charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20. When you roll fire damage for a spell you cast, you can re-roll any roll of 1 on the fire damage dice.
Oh, cool.
But you must use the new roll even if it's another 1. Whenever you cast a spell that deals fire damage, you can cause flames to wreathe you until the end of your next turn. The flames don't harm you or your possessions. They shed bright light out to 30 feet and dim light for an additional 30 feet. When the flames are present, any creature within 5 feet of you that hits you with a melee attack takes 1d4 fire damage.
Nice.
And so this is great if you're playing like a pyromancer style wizard, or maybe an infernal warlock, or if you have a really reflavored paladin like a paladin that I roll sometimes.
A flaming paladin.
A flaming paladin, because you're casting fire spells all the time, and so having that
this
like
residual fire
aura about you is
you,
pretty
yeah.
dope. So that's a pretty cool feature, or feat, I should say.
Yeah, because your character's walking around the battlefield slashing people and like
while on
bursts
fire.
of fire coming out and then just like flying around you and
Exactly.
you're glowing. And
Yes,
it's like Rogue One, Darth Vader activating his lightsaber in the dark hallway.
It's super metal, absolutely.
Breathing all heavy.
So the second feat that you can take as a Tiefling is called Infernal Constitution. So prerequisite is, of course, be a Tiefling. Fiendish blood runs strong in you, unlocking a resilience akin to that possessed by some fiends. I must have copy pasted this wrong because this is possessed by some friends. I'm like, no, that's not right. Possessed by some fiends. You gain the following benefits. Increase your constitution score by 1 to a maximum of 20. You now have resistance to cold damage and poison damage, and you now have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned. This is great if you're going for like a tank build and you just want to pile on resistances and advantages and extra constitution. This
Be
was
that much
one,
harder to take down.
Yeah, this was one I heavily considered taking when I was rolling D'Artagnan Bloodthane. We never got that far, but it was always under consideration.
Right.
So those are the 2 racial specific feats you could take as a Tiefling. Any questions or any input or ideas on any of this new Tiefling stuff?
I like the role play you can do. Like you kind of get a patron in a way, even if you're not warlocking it.
Yeah, it's true. You get at least a tie to an extra planar being.
Yeah,
which is
like
cool.
You're getting that outside influence. So this is, those are really crazy, strong, evil beings that they're talking about.
Like
you
borderline
being
gods in
linked
a
to.
lot of way. Yeah.
So you're either, what's your role play? You're fighting that off if you're a good character.
Right,
you're kind of
or-
like trying to put the influence behind you and ignore it.
Or are you embracing it? Embrace the darkness.
Are you going to be evil?
Right.
And like, what is your relationship with your party members?
True.
So that's always really important to consider.
What I like about like all this variability between all these options you can take is like you can now have a team of all Tieflings that are completely different from each other and are not similar in any way, shape, or form. And I think that's pretty cool.
You can have like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but you're all Tieflings.
Exactly. Teenage Mutant Ninja Tieflings.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Tieflings.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really great one shot.
That sounds like a one shot we should do for our patrons.
That sounds like a Patreon one shot for sure.
Speaking of our Patreon, I think we can get ready for a long rest.
Yeah.
All right, so-
where we talk about Patreon sometimes.
Where we do talk about Patreon sometimes.
Let's talk about the merch.
Yeah, let's talk about our merch store. So if you like this show and want to help support us, you can buy a t-shirt or mug off of our Teespring account, which is the link's in the description, but also I think the store
Teespring.com/Dungeoncast.
Yeah, and the store is right below this YouTube video if you're watching us on YouTube.
Yeah, you'll see little shirts down there for Super Quest Saga, and like if you scroll around, you'll see the TDC stuff.
Yeah. So if you're a fan of this show or that show, there's merch for you. Check it out.
Yeah. And let's see. We do have a message we want to read on Patreon.
Oh,
so
we
do you
do.
want to talk about Super Quest Saga while I pull that
Yeah,
up?
sure. So, we have a live play D&D game here on YouTube, and also it's its own podcast called Super Quest Saga, where we here at the Dungeoncast sit around the table and play some Dungeons & Dragons in space. It's a sci-fi game, and it's really cool. We're getting a lot of positive feedback, and it's been really overwhelming. So thank you to everyone who's been watching the show and enjoying it.
I can see the show picking up a lot of steam, and
same here.
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's more popular than the Dungeoncast.
Yeah,
at
I
some
could
point.
actually see Super Quest Saga being more popular than the Dungeoncast a year from now easily.
Yeah,
crazy.
I think it's absolutely worthy of that. Will's doing a great job DMing, and everybody is killing it in the role play.
I agree.
We're moving into making it into. It's already a high production thing that we're putting
Right.
on. We're doing music, we're doing sound effects, we're doing like voice alterations and stuff like that. Because there's a lot of cool opportunities to do that when you have like airlocks going off all the time and people
Right.
talking through comms, and like, how could I not do that?
Right.
So we're really excited. We're gonna ramp that up. We're taking off towards the second half of the show.
Mm-hmm.
We're about at the halfway marker, and we're gonna step up the game there. So definitely check it out. I that's not to knock the old stuff at all. It's a wonderful show. I love listening back to it. I think we should move on to the segment of the show where we read messages from our patrons.
Let's do it.
If you are a member of our Patreon, if you support the show in that way at any level, feel free to inbox us on Patreon at any time. Let us know that you want your message read on the show, or I'll ask you, I guess, and then we're gonna read it.
Let's do it.
That's it.
All right.
You can give us like $1, guys. If everybody out there gives us $1, that would be fucking sick as hell.
That'd be a lot of dollars.
Yeah, dude, we totally appreciate it. We're going to make it worth your while. We're going to put the show notes from like these later episodes on. They're just going to be in there, and we'll read your messages, and you get to get your name shouted out on the show and support the Dungeoncast. You get a lot of stuff at $5 and a lot more stuff at $10 and merch at $20. You get in there.
True.
Here's some messages, or a message from Erica Mariana.
Thank you, Erica.
Sorry, Erica Mariani.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you, Erica. Erica says, "Hi, I just wanted to thank you guys for making this awesome podcast. I've been very interested in D&D, but I haven't gotten to play because of my would-be party and I have just been too busy to get together."
Been there.
It's a painful thing. So it's great to have this dose of D&D to listen to, be it regular episodes of your awesome live plays. I especially love Super Quest Saga and get super excited every time a new episode comes out. Thank you guys again, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Erica. That means the world to us.
I hope you get. I messaged you back already, but I hope you get to play some D&D real
Yeah,
soon.
I hope so. Definitely.
When I get the itch, when we took like a 2 or 3 month break.
We did.
I didn't play any Dungeons and Dragons
sucked.
because the holidays are wild
That's true.
for everybody, and I got real itchy in my D&D places. But it's okay. We scratched.
We scratched that.
Me and my
itch.
friends
Oh,
helped me
no.
scratch it all.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
All right. I think we
need-
can call it a game.
Need some ointment for my itchy places. My
We'll talk to you
D&D
guys later.
That
Bye.
ointment is D&D. Bye.
The Dungeoncast.